Buenos dias, camaradas. Ahoy, freedom fighters. I hope my words find you in good health, that you're finding your purpose and fulfilling your will in this world. In this conversation, I'm going to kind of discuss organizational transparency, or need to know. As a leader, how much information do those who you're delegating to need to know? And this is a really unique topic for me because I myself have always found myself as a nobody in a room full of somebodies. So there was always really important things that were being discussed while I was in the room. This is just kind of a common experience throughout my life since I was a very young age. There was something very dramatic going on that was being discussed by people over my head within the room. And to explain this, so I'm talking about, like, let's say you are the leader, right? And within your leadership role, you know that if you told your team this amount of truth, that something terrible would happen. That it would degrade the efficiency of your team, or if you shared with them, they would panic, or they would not go beyond a certain point. And so in order to keep the team progressing forward, you're restricting the amount of information that you're giving. You have 80% of the information. You have 100% of the information. And you're giving your team 80% of the information. How confident are you that they are going to succeed? Or maybe you're only giving your team 20% of the information, and you're like, here's what I need you to do, go do this thing. And so me, as an individual, as a leader, I believe in a open or transparent environment. Transparent in politics, transparent in government, transparent in state, transparent in ourselves, in who we are and what we represent and what we believe. And that's a dangerous thing. Information is a weapon at all times, especially in politics. Information determines life or death at so many levels within politics. It's ridiculous. And the current COVID-19 pandemic is an example of this. Based on our numbers, we're assessing, adjusting who's going to live, who's going to die if we take A, B, or C action. I'm drinking some delicious red wine right now. I'm from Eastern Washington, specifically the Walla Walla Valley, so I only drink wine from the Walla Walla Valley. I belong to one wine club. It's El Corazon out of Walla Walla, and that's it. So free plug for them, El Corazon Winery. Getting back to organizational transparency and how much information you should share as a leader. Understand that my background is that everyone is a leader. It doesn't matter where you're at within the structure of the organization, everyone is a leader. So how much information are you giving to say, listen, you don't know how bad it really is, right? So this COVID-19 pandemic is a perfect example of this. It's a perfect time to talk about this. So as leaders, they have, statistical projections, various models to suggest how many people may or may not be affected by the virus based on what information we already have. So then what is the role of leadership? To be transparent and to share with you all of that information. If a leader was to be like, a quarter of us are going to die, how is the rest of the population, so 1 in 4 are going to die? Like, let's say leadership, you gotta come out and you gotta be like stone-faced, straight up, and be like, listen, 25% of us are going to die. What kind of, reaction is that going to create within society? And the transparency of information, the danger in sharing too much, the danger in sharing the full truth, full knowledge, this is how bad it really is. An excellent analogy arrives in Kabbalah. So in Kabbalah, it's the Jewish mysticism. and traditionally you would not study Kabbalah unless you were 40 years of age, because when you're 40 years old, your mind has settled enough that you can rationalize these truths that are about to be revealed to you. So in Kabbalah, it says that there were 4 sages who entered the orchard. And the orchard is all truth, all knowledge. Like, we're going to reveal all of the truth to you at one point in time. This is how this is going to happen. So 4 sages enter. One sage commits suicide. Another sage goes mad, goes crazy. The 3rd sage becomes a heretic, preaches that this is not the truth. And the 4th sage is like, okay, this is fine. To kind of draw this and give an example, let's say the government said that, okay, aliens exist. If the government was to come out and just like plain face be like, we have contact with extraterrestrial life on other planets, aliens exist and are true. There is no prediction for the reaction of population, like the reaction of the 7.5 billion people we have on this earth. Like, what would happen if we said that aliens were true, right? You know, a quarter of the population would kill themselves. A quarter of the population would go insane. A quarter of the population would say that's not true, there are no aliens. And a quarter of the population would be like, okay, that's fine, there really are aliens. And so I think that Kabbalah is pretty accurate in this estimate if you were to reveal true knowledge to people. Only in the regard that Jewish mysticism has been around longest. Only longer has been pagan mysticism. And so I'm kind of diverting on a path here. But it's been around for a long time, and so I believe that human behavior is a pattern that we can observe, that we can predict, that we can talk about, that we can study to a pretty fine degree, actually. We're talking bits and pixels and atoms here as far as the level at which you can identify and predict human behavior. And so this is just kind of a video talking about if you were a leader, how much information would you give out? How much information would you release? Knowing that it might lead to panic within your organization. It might lead to like collapse of operations. Things might just cease, gears stop, everything ceases. And so a lot of you who are leaders have found yourself in this exact position within the pandemic. And your reactions within the situation tell a lot about who you are as an individual and whether you are overreacting or reacting properly or underreacting. You're getting real-time feedback within this present time. So anyways, that's the length of this video. It's already 8 minutes long, and I don't like making long videos. I don't like long format stuff. I feel like I'm rambling too much. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I love you.